Welcome everyone to another video. In this video, we're going to be featuring some battles that I did on stream that allowed me to climb to the leaderboard. I don't know my exact ranking here, but probably around like 350 on the leaderboard. This is a team that was featured by Home Slice Henry to basically counter all the Poliwrath that are shown are there in the current meta. The team consists of Clefable with Fairy Wind, Moonblast and Meteor Mash, Shadow Ampharos with Volt Switch, Brutal Swing, and Zap Cannon. And then the real kicker here is double with Double Kick, Body Slam, and Wild Charge instead of Payback. It's quite an interesting team combination. Overall, I went like, I think like 14, no, like 15 and 10 or something like that. So I climbed like 60 or so points with this team into the mid 3200s. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show off two sets here. We're going to lead Clefable into Dragonite, a really good lead here. And let's see what they're going to do here. They come into Cresselia. I don't need that much health to be able to beat the Dragonite with Clefable. Plus my two back Pokemon are pretty okay against this thing. Um, but Cresselia is quite annoying for this team, especially since my double does not have payback. They do throw the future sight, and I will throw the reason why I throw Meteor Mash is because then they're going to be in Brutal Spring range anyways. So I just needed a little bit of damage. I will shield this move up here, and then they do go for the future sight, and I will build up to quite a bit of energy. I will throw the Brutal Swing at this Cresselia. I doubt they will shield, and then they're going to come into Dragonite, and I'm just going to go straight for the Zap Cannon. Very unlikely. Actually, no, I do go Schultz. I still go straight for the Zap Cannon versus this Venusaur. The Zap Cannon would do more than one Brutal Swing, plus the chance for the debuff. It does a tremendous amount of damage. That did so much damage to that Venusaur. And I'm going to switch out to uh, preserve the Ampharos for a potential catch, and I switch out into double. They actually choose not to throw here, which makes sense, and they're looking just to bank some energy. And I will throw the body slam at this Dragonite, and I'm in a pretty good spot right now. And this Dragonite will likely have to throw the super. Will definitely have to throw the super to KO. And I have a very straightforward game plan. I'm just gonna farm down with Clefable and land two Meteor Mashes onto the Venusaur. This super is resisted and debuffed, but still does a pretty sizable chunk. And I will throw the Meteor Mash. I am one off the second Meteor Mash. I need to survive another Vine Whip after this. And my rank 1 Clefable coming in clutch and landing that Meteor Mash, which is enough to take out the Venusaur. But really, the the biggest play for me there was actually throwing the Meteor Mash at the Cresselia as opposed to a second Moonblast. Because if I throw the Moonblast, it would have been overkill, and then as well, I would not have made it to the Meteor Mash in the end. So a little bit of energy management at the beginning saved me there. So running into a negative lead here, and this is exactly why you want to run Wild Charge. This is absolutely beautiful. As long as they're not running Dynamic Punch, you're going to be able to survive this and be able to get off two Wild Charges. So I throw the Wild Charge, and I throw a second Wild Charge. The Body Slam would not KO, so you have to throw the second Wild Charge, which will take out the Poliwrath or draw a shield. Draws a shield. I'm going to go right away into Clefable. I'm going to look to Fairy Wind all the way down. I'm not going to shield. They do throw the Scald. And they will reach another move, which is totally fine for me. Gonna let this go. And they throw the Ice Punch. I'm going to throw the Moonblast, and then I'm going to look to switch out right away into Ampharos, and they come into Haxorus here. Pretty interesting switch in, or it's pretty interesting third Pokemon here, and they do end up shielding the Brutal Swing. I will shield because I need to put this Haxorus a little bit lower for my Clefable, and I do throw the Brutal Swing. It is debuffed, so they will survive. And I'm going to let this go because my whole game plan here is to farm down this Haxorus. And they will. I should have predicted the switch here. Um, and they come into Skunk Tank. Thankfully, I'm able to throw the Moonblast right away, or not right away, after one. And then I need to farm down here. And again, back-to-back games, my rank 1 Clefable comes in clutch there. So absolutely beautiful game for my Clefable. There, I think like there was like 4 times on stream where I won with like 1 HP with my Clefable. And it came in super clutch. So, and then they came through again there. So I'm just gonna, okay, there's the next game. And we're gonna run to this next match. Shadow Ampharos. This is an okay matchup. I should be able to win the 0 if they don't have Zap Cannon. So I will throw the Moonblast because it's at 7 Fairy Winds, which is right in the middle of the 4th Volt switch. I'm going to do 2 and then try to catch. And very interesting, they threw the Thunder Punch here. Maybe they mistaken the typing. I'm not quite sure. I'm not going to shield. A Brutal Swing will still not KO. And I'm going to go for the Zap Cannon because the Brutal Swing wouldn't take out the Ampharos. So I'm going to go for the Zap Cannon as well. Chance for the debuff there, but no debuff. That's quite alright. And I'm going to go into Clefable. I'm going to let this go. They do throw the Thunder Punch. I'm going to shield, build up some energy, and they come into Golisopod. And this is actually was very fortunate for me. I get the attack drop, and I don't want to wild charge them um, because I don't want to debuff myself. Unfortunately, I get debuffed here, so I will throw one body slam, and they will just barely survive this body slam. And I'm really hoping I can double kick down, and I am able to double kick down. If the Empress comes in, I'm going to do one double kick then throw. And do take them out. And then here comes Gelatin. Very, very fortunate they decided to come into the Ampharos first. Um, and this puts me in a very good spot here. I'm going to throw the Wild Charge, and then 2 Wild Charges should be enough to take out this Gelatin. And this is a CMP tie. Even if this doesn't take out, I will not shield because my Clefable has enough health to be able to land some fair winds and potentially make it to a meter mash. And very good game for me. So worked out pretty well there. Very fortunate that the opponent threw the Thunder Punch at my Ampharos. If they would have threw the Brutal Swing, then I would not have made it to the Zap Cannon and forced a shield onto them. All right, we're into this next match. It's going to be Clefable into Swampert. This is kind of where I want to see it. They need to land an Earthquake and a Hydro Cannon or 3 Hydro Cannons. And they will end up throwing on CMP. I probably should throw sooner to potentially get the debuff. As you can see, 2 Hydros is not enough to take me out. Throw the Moonblast. And I get the attack fall. And this attack fall is actually so clutch. This is so incredibly clutch for me because this allows me to survive the Earthquake and make it to a Moonblast. Unfortunately, it also means that they get way more farm on their Swampert. So, but that's quite alright. I'm gonna go into double here, and they come into Snarl Granbull, and I'm gonna throw the Body Slam. This is quite an interesting pick here, and I will throw the second Body Slam, hoping to force a shield. And if I get the shield, I'm not going to shield uh, um, double at all because I'll be able to farm down with Shadow Ampharos and close out this game pretty easily. They throw the Crunch, and they throw another crunch. I'm going to switch out into Ampharos, and they will be able to make it to a move. That's totally fine for me. And they go for the crunch, makes sense. And I'm waiting to see what's going to come in. And they come into Clefable, and I guess they tried to catch there. They had a move on Swampert, so I think that, yeah, but this is totally fine for me. I'm going to shield. I would likely survive this Moonblast anyways. They didn't throw a Meteor Mash, and I will go for the Zap Cannon, and this will absolutely decimate Clefable, and I'm able to beat this very spammy Fairy backline. So that worked out pretty well for me. Obviously, some fortunate calls on my side where they threw the crunch instead of the close combat, which allowed me to pressure the Ramble even more. And I have Clefable into Tapu Fini. I will switch out to double here. And then they come out into Registeel. Kind of a complicated matchup for me, to be honest. I will let this go because I will survive the Focus Blast. And I will throw the Wild Charge. I have to take a look if I do get debuffed on the lock-ons. I don't think so. So I'm going to try to build up to double and then throw the Wild Charge and then throw another one and unfortunately I'm not able to make it to the body slam there. I thought about unfortunately here they will end up surviving and making it to a move, which is super unfortunate for me. Super unfortunate. And they come out into Giratina and maybe up a shield. I would have a little bit of play, but in this situation, I am not going to have too much luck right now. So they do end up throwing the H power at me, which is a pretty interesting play. And unfortunately, this Tapu Fini is going to be too difficult for me to deal with. I will throw another Brutal Swing at this Giratina, and I will try to switch out, and then they're just going to be able to outpace me. If I had a little bit more energy on Clefable, then maybe I would have a chance here. But they're going to be able to either 6 seconds away, and I'm 6 seconds away from the Meteor Mash. I'm hoping to win CMP, but I obviously know that I'm not going to win CMP. And if I won CMP there and we CMP tied, maybe I could Volt Switch down and then land a Brutal Swing on this Giratina, but not going to happen. So I end up going 4-1 in that set. We're going to go ahead and fast forward to the second set. I'm going to show off here. I'm going to show off 2 sets here, but if you want to see the rest of the battles, check them out on twitch.tv/KingIV. And 2 times again, a little long here. All right, we're going to go Clefable into Deoxys. This is a good lead. And watching Home Slice Henry's video, he basically said that usually teams that have Deoxys leads are also weak to Clefable in the back. So the team that I ran that was from Pogo Grind was Deoxys Guzzlord Mandibuzz. And then there's like a double Guzzlord variation or something like that. And then like a double Obstagoon variation from Jonkis, I think. Anyways, they end up shielding, but I'm actually able to win this game down a shield. So you're able to win the 0-1 with Clefable because you're going to be able to make it to this Meteor Mash. I guess if they choose to double Psycho Boost, you couldn't, as opposed to Thunderbolting. And they come into Mandibuzz, so this is going to be pretty good for me. I'm not. Maybe I'd be able to make it to the Moonblast there, but I don't think so. The mechanic says I shouldn't. I will shield this because it's kind of an awkward matchup for me. and they come out into Guzzlord. And this is a pretty decent matchup. The body slams are neutral, the double kicks are super effective. I will be able to outpace this Guzzlord. Dragon Tail and double kick are the same duration move. They go for the crunch. Very fortunate. No debuff on my side. I will throw the body slam. And they end up shielding. And I think about this, I am going to end up shielding the move just for the guaranteed damage. And then I believe I switch out. Actually, no, they switched out here. They switch out, and I'm kind of I'm in an okay situation here. Thank goodness they have Air Slash because they don't generate energy as quickly. I will do 2 Volt Switches and then throw for better timing. So right now they're at 3 Air Slashes, and I will take them out. And I will just throw this Brutal Swing. I thought about Zap hitting them, but it's too risky of a play. Unnecessarily risky of a play. And I will take out their Guzzlord with the Brutal Swing. And Clefable was super strong versus that team. All right, we're gonna have Clefable into Shadow Swampert, and kind of a tricky matchup. They will throw on CMP. This is just a Hydro Cannon. This does quite a bit of damage, but I will survive that pretty easily. The Moonblast would do quite a bit of damage. And at this point in time, I'm just going to let it go. I do predict that they will throw on CMP with this Meteor Mash, and they play that correctly. I will let it go. And they do 1 and then throw. I will not shield. And they come into Drapion. Not the best situation for me. And they throw the crunch at me. I actually was not expecting this because I was like, okay, the body slam will not KO. Unfortunately, they go for the Aqua Tail here, which is really unfortunate for me. And I shield. I'm going to let this go because I know it's an Aqua Tail. Can't be a crunch. I'm going to farm down. And they come into Noctowl. And for whatever reason, they decide to not shield the Noctowl. And now I'm just going to straight up farm them down. I am completely puzzled there. It was like a no risk, 0 risk shield there. Even if I bait there, there's no way I'd be able to make it to the move because the Swampert was going to be able to make it to a Hydro Cannon, but that worked out very fortunate for me. We go night night to the Noctowl. All right, send it back to Great League. All right, Clefable into Galarian Weezing. This is a good lead. The Overheat does do quite a bit of damage. They do resist the Fairy Winds, but the Meteor Mash is super effective. I will need to land 2 to take out this Galarian Weezing. It's kind of an awkward matchup for the Galarian Weezing because they need to Overheat to do any damage, and they throw the Brutal Swing. I will survive the Overheat, so I decide not to shield to preserve. Oh, no, actually, you do end up shielding here. I don't know why I said it didn't shield. I will throw the Moonblast. And then I will switch out into Ampharos and look to farm all the way down. I will shield to preserve health. And then I should be able to Volt Switch down this Walrein. And this Galarian Weezing is pretty low. And the opponent decides to leave the matchup there. Maybe they had I don't know what they had there, but it's fine for me. I don't know. Like they still had a whole Pokemon and 2 shields, plus a little bit of health on the Galarian Weezing. It was dry though. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But we will take it. Alright, we're going to have Clefable into Dragonite. Very good lead for me. And they come into Jellicent. And if I had double here, I would actually go double into... If I had payback on double, I should say, then I would go double here because it's a much more consistent matchup. I will not shield because I survived the Shadow Ball. And I do throw the Brutal Swing. I think about this here. I do end up shielding. Is preserving the switch there. Is and they actually come into their own Shadow Ampharos. And I throw the Brutal Swing, do a nice chunk of damage. This is not, they throw good timing. This is not a Focus Blast or a Zap Cannon. And they switch out into Dragonite, and really there's no win con for them at this point in time. If they have superpowered Dragon Claw, because I have too much energy on my double, and plus I would leave with a bunch of energy on Clefable. Just too dominant matchup against the Dragonite. So all right, we're gonna run into another Dragonite lead here. They switch out into, I think, ran into back very similar team comps. And again, I will not shield the first one because they're gonna make it to 2 serves anyways. So they would build a Force of Shield regardless. So I am gonna shield the second one. This is where I say like a double with payback is a much more consistent matchup versus Jellicent. And then I don't predict that they're going to shield the Dragonite, so I will go for the Zap Cannon and just barely survive, and the Zap Cannon will actually one-shot the Dragonite. I will switch out into double here, and I'm in a little bit of trouble. I will throw, expecting them to shield because the payback would do the most damage, and there's really not necessarily a reason for me to bait. They actually end up going Zap Cannon, which is very fortunate for me, though the lock on down would be really difficult on their side. I should have just thrown this sooner, to be honest, because the move's going to one-shot me regardless, so I don't need to. I don't really need to worry about. I'm going to shield regardless, so I should have thrown beforehand, but that's quite alright. And then I'm going to build up to the Wild Charge again. I'm one short of double, and I'm just going to throw this Body Slam just for the remaining chip damage or to grab the shield, and this game's over. And the opponent decides to no shield and let me double kick down their Registeel. So back to back, end up in a 5-0 in this situation, this particular set. So overall, I had a lot of fun with this team. Don't forget to check out Home Slice Henry's original video, which I'm sure most of you have already. So shout out to Home Slice. Anyways, if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see everyone in the next video.